Miss Frank?
Oh, it's a Miss you on Tuesday, right? Next Tuesday. All right. Do your turn out. Are you coming to
What time?
7:30 in the morning?
Oh, in the morning? Oh, I'll put that on my calendar.
You should have it. Monica has all the invites.
Yeah, I probably have.
It's at the rec center.
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, John, you have a key? I know. How are you? Michelle, yes, you, yes.
Oh, Charlie, I love your shirt. Thank you.
Wow.
I match up with you today.
You guys tonight, Lo had purple on. Deep purple. Look at the script.
Hello.
You can just go ahead and read.
Of course you did. The proclamation.
Is it, Tricia?
All right, well done.
What are you doing?
Gotta be. Right. Right. You gotta keep
Lindsay, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Go grab me the back of the back.
Thanks.
Wait, I'll pull, hold on, I'll go make a copy of that.
Line? Line? I caught it. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, get my battery out of the bag. In my office.
Thank you, Dennis. I know what I do. Whoa, you can. You got a little breakfast?
Okay. You know why they just don't give this to us on the thumb drive or PDF it to us?
Yeah, something simple to keep.
Because I mean, I have an old computer with a CD drive.
I don't even know how to use those things. I don't think.
You have to have a CD drive.
Okay,
You have to have a what?
You have to have CD drive.
you have a CD. Well, no, this is supposed to go in your CD player. George
Right.
Maxey said that he made these, you could see them in your CD player.
Right. They should be giving us little thumb drives.
George Maxey made these.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying I don't. My computer don't. I don't have a CD drive. My old computer, I do.
You have a DVD player at home?
I have a DVD player at home. Yeah,
Can you play in your DVD?
I know.
And you get to watch it on the widescreen. And watch how you got everybody dizzy watching it over this camera.
Oh, this is from George. Okay, gotcha. I gotcha.
You know
Yeah.
who I'm talking about
Yes,
now.
yes, yes.
This is his.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not a city thing.
Oh, I
This
thought.
is
Okay,
strictly-
I just saw the.
And
Yeah.
you see the wish list. This is his wish list too. What he would like to see.
Well, she used to play handball, right?
These kids because we're going to postpone that till study session or
Oh, yeah. No, I would think it's for the proclamation.
Legs gave out.
Sorry, threw me off.
It's not a basketball court. Oh, they play wall is call it volleyball. Yeah. And they use a ball that's flat. Oh yeah. But they use we play volleyball. Balls 20 about 80% full of air. Real kind of gives a little bit. You can bang it off the walls and everything. Yeah, but they call it walling. It's all soft. It's not hard. Right here. Well, the cops and fire used to play all the time. We used the ball that was less. Yeah, I was supposed to. They probably went out behind the firehouse and used it there off the wall. Yeah. Yeah. And they're part of their PT program. Like at the Arsenal, if the weather was good enough to go outside, we played volleyball every lunchtime. That's what our chief is. Every lunchtime, if the weather was good enough, we had to go out first thing in the morning, shovel the courts off. The sun would get them dried out and stuff. We played volleyball.
They say handball is the most aerobic
I can believe that.
swimming, biking, and running are more aerobic. Handball is the most aerobic. In racquetball, because you're only using one side of your body, and the rallies only last about 4 seconds. And handball involves moving cells and you can get teamwork. So that the volleys last about 8 or 10 seconds.
And when you get smacked with a handball, it doesn't hurt. You get smacked with a racquetball, there's a bruise on you.
Handball is moving a big character. The presentation.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll do the presentation, and I'll get a motion, and we can lay it out. Okay. Good evening, and welcome to the City Council meeting of today is May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo, and we will get started. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Ford,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bullock,
Here.
Councilman Amador,
Present.
Councilman Teeter.
Here.
There's no lights flashing. You should be okay. Councilwoman Carson. Present. Councilman Benson. Here. Councilman McEldowney. Councilwoman Elliott. Present. Councilman Douglas.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, and let the record show that everyone's here except for Mr. McEldowney, who has called ahead and said that he's going to be a few minutes late but should be joining us, and we need to make sure that the record's square when he does come in. I'd like to invite everyone to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now I'd like to ask the staff to go around with the microphone and allow the audience to introduce themselves.
Gustavo Servín.
Carol Martinez.
Shania Vigil. Stephanie Quijana.
Naima Shafi. Jennifer Rodriguez.
Elisa Castillo. Roxana Bustos.
Soledad Avalos.
Felix Munoz.
Karen O'Donnell, Parks and Recreation.
Chris Bowie from Tri-County Health.
Franny Warren from Boys and Girls Club.
Danny Thomas.
Betty Thomas.
Larry Quintana, Adams 14, Board of Education.
Thank you.
Guillermo Serna.
Charles Wolfersberger.
Maria DeAndre, Public Works.
Nick Eppard with Communications.
John Howard, Information Technology.
Mike Brown, Parks and Recreation.
Cheryl Scott, City Clerk's Office. Lindsay Willett, City Clerk's Office.
Kathy Blakeman, Human Resources.
Lynn Blevins, Commerce City Police Department.
Dennis Moon, Police Department.
Charlie Shefflin, Police Department.
Fran Gomez, Police Department.
Laura Richardson, Police Department.
Great, thank you very much, and thank you again for being here tonight. First item on the agenda is some proclamations. We're going to start with the Kids to Park Day proclamation. What are the council's desires concerning the Kids to Park Day? I'm open for a motion.
Move to approve Proclamation 14-03, Kids to Park Day.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I don't know, before I take the vote, JD, did you push your button? Because nothing's coming up. Okay, yeah, there's nothing coming up. So you guys are just going to have to get my attention. Okay. Yep. You got it, Renee?
Okay, now show your request to speak button.
There it goes. All right, now turn them off. Thank you. Mr. Attorney, will you please read the proclamation?
Yes. Office of the Mayor, Commerce City, Colorado, proclamation. Whereas, May 17, 2014 is the 4th National Kids to Parks Day organized and launched by the National Park Trust, which empowers kids to get outdoors and visit America's parks. And whereas Commerce City is committed to providing active living amenities for youth and families, constructing 4 new parks and recreation projects over the next 5 years, thanks to voters who dedicated future sales tax revenues. And whereas it is important to introduce a new generation to our national, state, and local parks, and encourage children to lead a more active lifestyle to combat the issues of childhood obesity, diabetes, and hypertension. And whereas National Kids to Parks Day is open to all children and adults across the country to encourage a large and diverse group of participants. And whereas Commerce City provides a wide range of programs and activities that improve health and wellness, resulting in more than 480,000 annual visits. And whereas National Kids to Parks Day will broaden children's appreciation for nature and the outdoors. Now therefore, I, on behalf of City Council, do hereby proclaim May 17 as National Kids to Parks Day and encourage residents to take the children in their lives to a neighborhood, state, or national park. City of Commerce City, Colorado, Sean Ford, Mayor.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Proclamation's been read. Is there anyone here to accept this proclamation? Seeing no one. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. And I'll just make sure the staff get it over to the Parks Department.
Mayor Ford?
Yes, ma'am.
May I indulge for one moment?
Sure.
Can I drop these blinds?
Yes, absolutely.
Before I think we start getting some people.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I guess we won't be doing that. Sorry.
All right, so it's not going to work, huh? All right, moving along. All right, let's move ahead. Next, we have a proclamation for Municipal Clerks Week. I'd like to invite the city clerk staff forward to the podium. That's you two, come on. And we have Laura's already up here, so you can stand there and look nice while we go through this. Is there a motion to approve the proclamation for the Municipal Clerks Week? Mr. Amador.
Move to approve Proclamation 14-08 designating May 4th through the 10th Municipal Clerks Week.
Thank you. Councilwoman Carson.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to second. Bob, will you please read the proclamation?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Office of the Mayor, Commerce City, Colorado, proclamation. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants and a vital part of local governments worldwide, providing the professional link between citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of their office through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the City Clerk's Office of the City of Commerce City. Therefore, be it resolved that I, on behalf of City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of May 4 through May 10, 2014 as Municipal Clerks Week. Be it further resolved that Commerce City extends its appreciation to the City Clerk and her office for the vital services they perform for our community. City of Commerce City, Colorado, Sean Ford, Mayor.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. The proclamation's been read. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Will the council please join me down front to recognize the clerk's office? And the floor is yours if there's anything you would like to say before we come down.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, for the audience and the TV watching audience, I'm very proud of the staff that I have that works in the city clerk's office, that works for this community. Cheryl Scott is the deputy, and she handles liquor licensing. She also handles contract management and boards and commissions. Lindsay Willett is our administrative assistant, and she's the one that puts together your packets every week. So without them, I don't think that we would be as successful as we are. So I really want to extend my thanks to them.
Well, and then there's you, Laura, and all that you do. And I would like to thank all three of you for the efforts that you put into the city clerk's office and what you do for not only the residents of this community but for this council. So you are appreciated. Thank you very much. Now, join me down front, please.
Mr. Mayor, the record should reflect that Councilman Jason McEldowney has arrived. Yeah.
Okay, next item on the agenda is another proclamation, National Police Week. I'm open for a motion. Councilwoman Carson.
Move to approve Proclamation 14-09, Proclamation for National Police Week.
Thank you. Mr. Bullock?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Attorney, will you please read the proclamation?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Proclamation reads, Office of the Mayor, Commerce City, Colorado, Proclamation. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15 as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which May 15 falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the City of Commerce City Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of our city. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of the Commerce City Police Department unceasingly provide a vital public service. Now therefore, I, on behalf of City Council, call upon all citizens and organizations to observe the week of May 11 through 17, 2014 as National Police Week with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all of our people may join in commemorating law enforcement officers past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in so doing have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. Be it further resolved that Commerce City observe May 15, 2014 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who their courageous deeds have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community. City of Commerce City, Colorado, Sean Ford, Mayor.
Thank you, Bob. Now, if I could please get all of the police department staff to come up, the deputy chiefs, the commanders, other officers that are in the room. Make sure that we have everybody up here. I have a motion and a second, and the titles have been read. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried, and I just want to tell all of you how much you're appreciated in our community. Safety of our community is the highest of priority for this council. So we thank you for the work that you do every day, even though we don't get to see all the little contacts you make with some of the youth, teaching them about good citizenship, trying to keep our residents out of trouble, and to have a great, safe community. So you're all very well appreciated by this council. So thank you very much. Is there anything that any of you would like to say? Looks like the chief left you hanging tonight, huh? All right. Any council members have anything they'd like to say before we go down?
Thank you.
Councilwoman Carson?
Just thank you. I know what a hard job it is that you do out there, and sometimes it's not fully recognized that while we're asleep at night, you guys are out there keeping us safe. So thank you very much. It's a hardship sometimes on your families. When things arise, you always put the citizens of Commerce City first. So thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. McEldowney, did you have something?
Just thank you. I mean, it's easy to say we know how hard your job is. We have a sense of it. The reality is we don't. We don't perform that job, and we are eternally grateful for the work that you do for our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Now we're going to come down and present you with the proclamation. Okay, next item on the agenda is going to be the citizen communication portion of the agenda. When I call your name, please come forward to the podium. State your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to be able to address the city council. And tonight, we have one person that's signed up for citizen communication, Mr. Charles Wolfensberger. Hopefully I didn't say that too bad. Come on up. Good evening.
Good evening, council members. I just want to come here tonight to represent our the Riverdale Dunes Metropolitan District, which is the organization that services the Dunes Park neighborhood in Commerce City And we've already, through email, sent out some invites to the council, but I have some, I know we have some invitations we'd like to give everybody. So everybody is invited. I know you have family commitments and other work commitments as well, so we all understand that, but we just want to make sure that we want everybody to know that you are invited to our event on Saturday, this Saturday, May 10th, and it's from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll be having a ribbon cutting. We're rather excited. This was about a 4-year process to get where we're at. We put in, I guess, a few years ago, we started looking at consolidating our homeowners association into our metropolitan district, and as it was a way of cutting costs, improving our collections, and basically improving the financial situation of our neighborhood. And as a result, we've now been through our first full year of operations as a metropolitan district, as a consolidated entity, and we're proud to announce that we've been able to cut through cost cutting and getting a little bit of state subsidies through the specific ownership tax and a few other things. We're able to basically generate an additional $55,000 of revenue each year that we can now spend on park equipment and improving the landscaping and common areas in our neighborhood. And the hope is that eventually, when we get caught up on those needs, that we can start reducing the taxes on our homeowners and put that money back into the homeowners' pockets. So, and as a result, we have as of January or February, we completed we replaced our park, and we installed about $120,000 park system, and we are building this week. Actually, my contractor just called me about 5 minutes ago. We're putting in a pavilion as well, and we also have several other projects planned for the end of this year and going into next. So our neighborhood's pretty excited about what's happened, and so Saturday is kind of our celebration event to finally take a break for a minute from all the work we've been putting in. And I'd like to say one final thing. Hopefully I don't go over, but I just wanted to say this wouldn't have been possible without the input from a lot of people, and some of this came from, I remember maybe 3 years ago, I came to Commerce City and I spoke with you, and then you referred me to some of the city representatives. And I remember sitting down having maybe a 2.5 hour meeting. It was with Roger Tinklenberg, and it was with Tom Aker, and there's somebody from the city attorney's office. It may have been, was it you? Okay, I apologize. And I remember we had that meeting, and it was very helpful. It was nice to know that we got a lot of good input from the people that work here at this city that really we were flying in the dark, and so that really kind of steered our ship in the right direction. And so I just really want to thank them. And we have Rochelle Urso, who helped with our permitting process over in the Public Works Department, and I know he's not here anymore, but it was Matt Wiederspan. I called him many times as well. So anyways, I'm really appreciative of the services we get from Commerce City. I think it's a fine city to be a part of, and I really appreciate what we were able to accomplish was a lot in part because of the help that we got and support from the city. So just want to thank you for that.
Great, thank you very much. We're looking forward to seeing all the new improvements, and you can leave those there with the attorney, and he'll make sure we all have them, the invitations. And we'll do our best to make it out, and I'm sure there'll be some representation from the council there.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, February 3rd, 2014. Looks like everyone was here. I am open for a motion to approve those minutes. Councilwoman Elliott. So can I get a motion to allow?
She came in later.
She came in later.
All right, good. So we're okay. All right. So now I need a motion to approve the minutes of February 3rd. Councilwoman Carson?
Second. Oh.
Are you awake tonight?
I'm reading. Move to approve to allow, oh, no, wait a minute. We already decided Ms. Elliott did come here.
Yep.
Right.
Move to approve the meeting minutes of February 3rd, 2014.
Thank you. Mr. McEldowney. Second. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of February 3rd, 2014. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Now I need a motion to approve the March 3rd, 2014 minutes. Mr. Douglas.
Yes, I move to approve the meetings of March 3rd, 2014.
Thank you. Mr. Bullock.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the March 3rd, 2014 minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes items that are routine, procedural, informational, self-explanatory, and non-controversial. They are presented to council for a single motion and vote. Any member of the council may ask to remove a specific item for further discussion and/or a separate vote. Tonight, there are 3 items listed under the consent agenda, and does any one council member wish to remove any of these items on the consent agenda? Mr. Bullock?
I'm here to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, Mr. McEldowney.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Will the city attorney please read the items on the consent agenda?
Title of ordinance 2000 reads, an ordinance amending section 12-6010 of the Commerce City Revised Municipal Code regulating the residency of sex offenders within the city. Title of resolution 2014-46, resolution approving change order number 1 to agreement between the City of Commerce City, Zach Dirt, Inc., for East 104th Avenue Improvements Project, Phase 3B. Title of Resolution 2014-49, resolution appointing members to designated boards and commissions of Commerce City. That's a consent agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. The titles have all been read. I'll ask for a roll call vote. Let the record show the consent agenda has been approved unanimously. The next item on the agenda will be ordinances on first reading. First, I'd like to ask Karen O'Donnell from Parks and Rec forward to introduce the kids from the Boys and Girls Club.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of council. My name is Karen O'Donnell, and I'm the Recreation Manager for the city. When I was originally researching the information pertaining to the electronic vaporizers, or e-cigarettes as they're commonly known, I reached out to some colleagues in other municipalities, and I was directed to Chris Bowie. He is the Tobacco Policy Coordinator for Tri-County Health, and he's here with us today. Chris was eager to provide some assistance and informed me of his work with the Commerce City Boys and Girls Club at Kearney Middle School. Through our correspondence, I learned that the Boys and Girls Club had already done a great deal of research pertaining to electronic vaporizers, and they'd even done a photo project. So Chris and I coordinated with Franny Warren, a health specialist with the Boys and Girls Club. She's also here today. To have this group of Commerce City youth speak to you about this topic directly pertaining to the ordinance that you have before you. Some of you may recall that the Boys and Girls Club also assisted with the establishment of the original ordinance prohibiting smoking in parks, and a couple of those people are here today. If you want to raise your hands, they were involved back then as well. So without further ado, I want to just call up this group. A few of these young men and women are going to speak, and they're kind of just going to come up together and take turns. So,
great, thank you.
Come on up. Yep.
Need you, when you come up to the podium, I need you to state your name and address so that we know who you are.
My home address?
Your home address is fine,
Okay.
yes.
I'm Stephanie Quijano. My home address 4774 Chandler Court, Denver, Colorado 80239. On behalf of our Commerce City Boys and Girls Club, by the way, I'm a senior at Adams City High School. We have a SWAT program, Students Working Against Tobacco, and what we do is try to teach the young kids at the Boys and Girls Club the negative aspects of tobacco use, and we try to enforce the idea of prevention of tobacco use. So the presentation that we created, we just wanted some facts on tobacco, and where we mostly see them here in the city of Commerce City are on school grounds and we found quite a few, over 2 gallons of cigarettes butts just around the block of our Commerce City Boys and Girls Club, which is very outstanding because you would think there would be less, but no, there's way more than too many. We have them around grocery stores or fast food restaurants, which is not very appealing to when we're eating. It's not very nice to have around. Our flea market, which is a family play center, we don't want that around our kids or younger siblings or any of all that. Our city parks, we banned cigarettes, so we think it's more effective as well to ban e-cigarettes, and our local libraries where most of our high schoolers and middle schoolers and our elementary kids go there to expand their knowledge, but yet are exposed to these nasty things.
Hi, my name is Felix. My address is 6950 Niagara Street. Well, I was here about 4 years ago with the tobacco program. And basically, the people who are smoking them are basically our friends, adults, our family members, and surprisingly, a bunch of students and store employees. And it's kind of a bad thing for kids to see because, simply for the e-cigarettes, they come in different flavors now. And so I was working at the Invesco field, and there was this guy smoking an e-cigarette, and it smelled like butter popcorn. And I love butter popcorn. And I smelled that, and I was like, whoa, well then. And my sister was there with me, and she was like, I want that. So it was kind of like, no. And the people that it's affecting are non-smokers, our children, infants, and teens. And it's also affecting pregnant women, animals, the elderly citizens, and the U.S. citizens, and us. It's affecting us. And it's kind of, as I said again, it's kind of a negative appeal to our city. It's really negative to see people kind of smoking around on the street kind of thing, so yeah.
I'm Elisa Castillo, 9982 Joplin Street. The reason we're here is just to raise awareness, just to get the word out there that e-cigarettes aren't any better than regular cigarettes. They're harmful to our health. They aren't really tested. We don't know the adverse side effects of them, so they're not socially acceptable. We don't really think that it's a good thing to be in our city parks, just like regular cigarettes aren't, e-cigarettes shouldn't be as well. We don't know exactly what's in them or what they can do to harm us. They're targeting children, which is why they shouldn't be allowed in city parks. After all, parks are meant for children, so they shouldn't be allowed in parks. They can be harmful to our whole body. We don't really know what's in them, so they have formaldehyde or things that are found in the dead body, antifreeze, and rat poisoning, just like regular cigarettes. And it also promotes smoking overall.
Hello, good evening. My name is Roxana Bustos. I live in 7871 Pontiac Street, Commerce City. So I was also in the Get Real program about 4 years ago. I came here. We brought some kind of little buckets of cigarettes, and we forgot them today, but we have tons. And those are just some that we picked up a block away. The ones we did were for Pioneer Park, and we did it in less than an hour. It was like 15, 20 minutes, and we already had like 3 of those. So from experience from that, just normal cigarettes are so harmful to us. So we've already banned those from parks, from playgrounds, and schools. And the e-cigarettes are banned from schools and playgrounds. But why not make it official to include parks in there? It would really help around everybody. The kids are always our priority, and already having them prepared for that and healthy in that state would be great. Thank you.
So my grandmother has lymphoma cancer, and her doctor is constantly bombarding her with questions if she was ever a smoker in her life or if she was ever exposed to smoking, because he doesn't know the reason why, and that's the only conclusion that we can get out of it. And so the only conclusion that we have is that since she's not a smoker, she was exposed to secondhand smoking as a child. So even then now, the siblings, my siblings or my cousins or young children like at the Boys and Girls Club, if they're exposed to this now, secondhand smoking or any vapor smoking, imagine what the bad effects that can come out in the long run. It's just a matter of how we can prevent this early on in the early years. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. First, I'm going to go to the audience. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the City Council on this issue? Seeing no one. Mr. McEldowney.
I would move to introduce.
First reading.
Oh, we're going to move this to a study session? Then I would move that we carry this forward to a study session.
Okay, let's go with comments first. Mr. Benson, you have a comment?
I have some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Go right ahead.
You know, it's my understanding that the e-cigarettes have nicotine in them. Is that correct? I mean, they don't have carbon monoxide, I guess, because there's nothing, but they've got nicotine in them. And I would certainly agree myself that if we're going to ban smoking, we ought to ban these things. So thank you for the research that you've done.
Okay. Any other comments before I move forward? Seeing none, I would, just before I ask for a motion, I would just like to let all of you know that I congratulate you for your concerns. And what we have to do as a council is we have to be prudent and we have to look into all of the information and make sure that we're making a law that will prohibit other people from having a negative effect on other people by use of these e-cigarettes. And this council has not yet had the chance to have a study session to have our staff bring forward information regarding the e-cigarettes. So what you're going to hear is you're going to hear this council be making a motion to recommend this goes to a study session so that we can get additional information so that we make sure that we have a justification for putting into place an amendment to the ordinance of smoking, if that makes sense to you, okay? It's our obligation to the rest of this community that we do our research before we vote on something that could prohibit people within the community from being able to utilize something, okay? So with that said, I'm open for a motion, Mr. McEldowney.
I would move that we carry ordinance 2005 to a future study session so that council can discuss it thoroughly and bring it back for introduction.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Carson.
I'll second it, but I did want to make a small comment if is it okay?
No, I have a motion and a second on the floor right now, so we need to take a vote.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to move this to a future study session so that we can get more information before we make a decision on it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. And I thank you all for coming in. It's great that you're looking out for the best interest of the kids in this community and yourselves. So keep it up. And just because we put it to a study session doesn't mean we're not for it. We need just to make sure we have the evidence that we need to be able to make it law, okay? Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the 2014 first quarter update. Mr. McBroom, are you going to be doing the update?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Jim.
As City Council is likely aware, we, as city staff, work to develop and adopt an annual work plan. Work on our annual staff work plan actually begins after the City Council approves the budget in the fall of the previous year. So on January 1st, we begin executing our work plan. At the end of every quarter, we have developed this practice of coming before City Council to provide an update of our quarterly efforts. The reason we develop a staff work plan, there's really three important reasons why we do this. The first is to make sure that we are operating in a way that's transparent to the community, in a way in which the community can hold us accountable for the work that we do and how we spend taxpayer dollars on an annual basis. The second important reason why we have an annual work plan is to demonstrate that the work that we're doing day in and day out is aligned with the goals that the City Council has established for moving the community in a positive direction. And the third equally important reason for having a staff work plan is so that staff that work for the city understand how the work they do day in and day out helps add value to the community and helps achieve City Council's goals. So I'm always honored to be here on behalf of city staff to present updates on a quarterly basis. And the first quarter of 2014 ended April 1st, and so what you have in your packet tonight is data covering the first 3 months of the year. As we have done in the past, we've included all of the detail sheets in the packet, but what I'm going to do tonight is just hit some highlights from activity over the first quarter. Again, the work plans are divided into two key chapters. One covers operations, which is a majority of what city staff is engaged in throughout the year. It's daily operations to provide service to the community. So one chapter of the work plan is devoted to operations. The other chapter of the work plan is devoted to projects. So the information is structured a bit differently, but we've got a comprehensive update from the first quarter on both operations and projects. Now to walk through department summaries. Community development, as you can imagine, has had a lot of activity with increased development throughout the community. Some key highlights for the first quarter. The community development staff was instrumental in helping the URA Board of Directors select a master developer for the redevelopment of the Mile High Greyhound Park. Staff was also before you to present recommended updates to the city's floodplain regulations to both modernize our existing floodplain code and to bring the code in line with state regulations. And finally, key staff in community development have been actively negotiating lease agreements for the new Contra Heritage and Culture Center. Parks, Recreation, and Golf, key accomplishments for the first quarter. They were actively involved in getting a public art piece installed at Fairfax Park. Several of you were there for the dedication of that piece of art that's called Determination. Item of note, sales at the Bison Grill are up approximately 20% over the first quarter in 2013. Recreation staff coordinated and helped organize the annual Daddy-Daughter Dance that included 250 participants this year. And finally, recreation staff worked with School District 14 to complete an intergovernmental agreement for the city's investment in some ball field improvements at Adams 14 school sites. Public Works successfully worked with CDOT and the City and County of Denver to preserve directional access between Vasquez Boulevard and I-70. Staff held training sessions on building a high-performance team culture. They've been actively involved in a number of things to improve teamwork within the department. And also, they secured a Safe Routes to School grant for 72nd Avenue Corridor project. Economic development was instrumental in organizing and holding the annual Economic Development Forecast Breakfast. 75 folks within the community attended that event. Staff has also acquired a new software tool to help gauge the fiscal impact of new development in our community that will be instrumental in helping the city determine when incentives make sense for a given project. The police department noted in the first quarter that the top 3 locations for accidents in our community based on crash data are Tower Road, I-270 westbound, and the intersection of 120th Avenue and Highway 85. They've also been actively working to create a citywide emergency management training program. Many of you have met Kirk Dominic, the city's new emergency manager who started several months ago. He's been actively developing an updated training program for folks here at the city. And staff issued 637 traffic tickets during the first quarter. Human Resources was instrumental in reactivating the city's safety team, which is now meeting biweekly to create an updated safety program for city employees throughout the city. They've began working on a leadership development program for employees at the city. And also they've been instrumental in interdepartmental collaboration to fill a key position in the police department, a professional standards manager. And we're also active in facilitating 2 additional key hires, project managers within the Public Works Department and a commander within the Police Department. Staff in the Finance Department identified 13 grants which have been submitted totaling over $500,000. We are awaiting to hear decisions on those applications. Finance staff issued a final letter to the Motor Carriers Association to resolve some disputes that the city was having with the association regarding the application of the city's tax code. Believe it or not, although we're still early in 2014, Finance Department staff has began work on the 2015 budget process, and Finance staff were key players in drafting a new procurement policy that City Council adopted within the first quarter. Information technology has been busy expanding computer resources for a new evidence management system within the police department, has been updating a key management system in our public works department, and has been doing a number of work to better structure the city's computer network to improve efficiencies and reduce our reliance on multiple systems. And something you may have noticed, the projector in council chambers was replaced in the first quarter. You might have noticed the old projector was starting to get hard to see unless it was quite dark in here. We've noticed an improvement right away. The new projector is much easier to see. We hope it's also easier to see for the public watching the meetings. The city clerk's office was busy processing applications for folks interested in serving on the various boards and commissions, brought 28 applications and recommendations forward to the City Council Committee and ultimately to City Council for appointment. Communications Division was busy coordinating the City Council's annual federal advocacy trip to Washington, D.C. As you all know, the trip was a bit more complicated this year as they helped coordinate the attendance on the trip of 5 members of the city's Youth Commission. Many of you attended the Wayside Horn press conference that included several federal partners. That takes a great deal of coordination behind the scenes, so we're grateful to them for that. One thing you may not know, we conduct an employee survey annually every year. Communication staff processed the results and shared them with the entire leadership team. 68% of employees feel that the city is moving in the right direction, which is a 20% increase to that result from a year ago in early 2013. And a big improvement, I think, in our management of legislative affairs this year has been communication staff staffing of the City Council's legislative subcommittee. I think you would all agree we've had a better handle on legislative affairs both at the state and federal level this year. And finally, although we're early in the year, we have received $10.9 million already in revenue from sales and use tax. Property tax was the second highest source of revenue in the first quarter at just shy of $600,000. Mr. Hayes is going to touch on this as part of the capital projects update, but through the passage of Issue 2K, the 1% increase in the city's sales tax has generated $1.5 million through the first 2 months of 2014. And as we mentioned previously, finance and other budget staff are busy laying the groundwork for the 2015 budget process. So as I mentioned at the onset, a great deal of important work occurs every day by dedicated employees that work for the City of Commerce City. I appreciate the opportunity to present first quarter results to City Council and the community, and I'm happy to answer any questions that Council might have.
Council have any questions concerning the first quarter update? Mr. Amador?
Thank you, Mr. City Manager and staff. Commerce City is growing, and we're going to experience growing pains, and as we get bigger, I can truly appreciate the presentation and the hard work that all of staff is doing. Us on the council here understand how much work is going into 2K and the additional projects that are being done. So I just want to say hats off to the staff.
Councilwoman Carson.
Just to back up what Mr. Amador said, when you put this out here, Mr. City Manager, it shows just how busy the city's been in every department. Workloads have increased, but I commend all of our staff because they've done an excellent job keeping up with it. There's been new duties such as the Youth Commission attending DC, the master plan for Mile High Greyhound Park. Finance has to collect more money now. Parks and Rec has a lot ahead of them. So thank you very much. And the one thing that I had seen was, I just give my hats to the people over there at the Bison Grill because that's a pretty good increase. And thank them for whatever it is they're doing. I know all of us love to go over there, but thank you everyone for all the hard work and stuff that you're doing.
Seeing no one else, I agree. Thank you's in order.
Thank you.
But you know what? I think you could do twice as much in half the time, Brian. So you need to step it up just a little bit. All right, we'll move into the capital program update. Do you have something to say to that?
Well, while Mr. Hayes is getting his slide presentation set up, we've kind of been joking at the staff level. We've switched to a half-day schedule, and we allow employees to select which 12 hours they want to work.
Yeah, I see Maria's in the back working all the whole meeting. So
I think some folks in Public Works have switched to a three-quarter schedule. They're working 18 hours a day, some of them, I think.
Yeah, as long as they're getting paid well and they appreciate their jobs, that's all that matters. All right, with that said, Mr. Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm going to run through the slide presentation that's in your packet. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly in the spirit of time. We'll, of course, take any questions. We've got some department experts here as well on the projects. First few slides are largely historical. We're going to keep these probably for all the quarterly updates for the benefit of the public here. But as you know, Issue 2K was approved in November. It's a 3.5% sales and use tax currently that we increased by 1% to 4.5. We are estimating that's going to generate $9 to $10 million the first year. And as Mr. McBroom mentioned, we have about $1.5 million through the first 2 months. So we're right on track for about $9 million. This first year, but again, 2 months is not necessarily a trend. It went into effect January 1st, and we committed to build 5 projects in 5 years, which are listed there on the screen. And I'm going to go into some detail on those in a minute. Again, it's a voter-approved dedicated funding source for new parks, recreation, and road projects. We included the operations and maintenance piece in the ballot language, which will allow us to maintain these projects after we build them over time. And again, this is a result of a 2-year community-driven process that culminated with the election in November. The 4 program goals, really they've been blended into 3. The first one is really a combination of what we had talked about earlier, is to build the high quality facilities, but also to lower their long-term maintenance costs while we're doing that. We're also, of course, going to spend taxpayer dollars wisely and transparently and complete the projects on time. So here's a quick update from the list of 90-day action items that we presented to you back in February. We're still refining the project schedules. In fact, that's probably going to be an ongoing effort for the entire life of the program as we get more information, as we get a little more detailed with each of the projects. We have finalized our staff and consultant needs. As you'll see in a moment here on the RFPs we completed, we have a program director on board. We have an owner's rep for some of the vertical projects. So we really have ramped up there, we think, pretty wisely and pretty efficiently. We're completing and creating program templates regarding reporting and procurement. These are partially complete. Of course, we're following the procurement policy that's in place right now, but these templates and manuals that Mr. McBroom referenced are going to be ongoing. We issued 4 RFPs in February. Those were completed in April. We finalized our initial report from CH2M Hill. If you recall, that was their 30-day effort that we had them come in and do a diagnosis for us in January. Really, that's the only expenditure that we've had to date on the project was that report. Really helped us get ramped up for the last 90 days. The bond issuance was approved by the City Council. We're anticipating that those bonds are going to be issued by the end of May, maybe first part of June. The procurement policy has been completed. We developed those program templates, and we do have our vendor expo event now is scheduled for Friday, May 9th. And I'm going to explain what that is in a moment here. So again, 4 procurements, public involvement contractor, we selected CIG to assist with us, and that was very evident on Thursday night. We had our first neighborhood meeting with Frontera Park. They were very helpful for that meeting. The owner's rep for vertical facilities, we selected Wember, and again, the vertical facilities we're talking about are the new rec center, the existing rec center, and the outdoor pool. The outdoor pool design was selected by Olson Lavoie Collaborative, OLC. They're going to be completing the design for the pool. And then the capital program management RFP was a team of CH2M Hill, I3 Integration, and American Company engineers. And they have been working on the Denver Better Bond program. So we're really getting a lot of experience that Denver has gone through, and we're able to ramp up a lot quicker, frankly, than what they experienced several years ago. Another quick update on the program. We have completed the transition of day-to-day program management to the consultant program director. And I'm going to explain in the organization chart how that works. We're implementing budget and schedule tracking systems. We're building detailed budgets with extensive contingencies in them, and also a short-term schedule is being developed for the current projects. And one of the most exciting things that we've started just this morning is we've developed a systems triage team. And essentially what that means is we pulled people from every department. They're going to do quick surgery, if you will, over the next couple of weeks on a variety of systems that we need to have in place to successfully execute these projects. So they're looking at the procurement process, starting to develop a draft manual, looking at how we handle contracts, as well as document management. And so we're trying to integrate those very quickly into the system, recognize that they're not going to be perfect, that's why it's triage, but we'll come back later in the year and figure out the lessons learned and make improvements as we go. The Logos project module has been implemented. This is kind of down in the weeds a little bit, but this is our software that we use to track our finances and our budget. And so there's a project module that we had available to us, and we're going to use that to make sure that we're not doing double entry with all the data that we're going to be collecting on the budgets over the next several years. Program schedule, again, this is very similar to what you saw before. It does show that we're going to have all the projects completed by 2018. I will tell you that our goal for the next 90 days is to have a much more refined schedule that we can present to you and to the public, especially on the projects that are underway right now in 2014 and looking forward to 2015. Now, I could spend an hour on this slide, but I won't. Some of you may want me to. But I just want to hit the highlights here. Essentially, there's a phases and gates model here that we're adopted. And essentially, you have to have everything completed in the box, all of the phases of a project, before you can go through the gate to the next step. And this has been a challenge, I think, for not only our organization but others, in that you want to get so far to the next step that you might miss something. You might not get that last piece of right-of-way before you start construction or something like that. So we're going to be very regimented with our process here to make sure that we're following all of these phases, make sure we're ready to clearly move to the next step. Otherwise, you're just going to have to go backwards halfway through the process. So I'm not going to read all of these, but very quickly, the first few gets into design. Then you get into construction in kind of phases 4 through 7, and then you finish out with the final phase there. So a couple comments on the budget. Again, there's a $137 million gross budget, and that consists of program contingency, basically a percentage off the top for the entire program, a management reserve, if you will, that we can add things or take things away as we go. There's also some costs for bond and program management, and then, of course, the bulk of it is the actual project budgets themselves. So as you see here, we're almost at $1.5 million through the first 2 months of revenues, and we had about $20,000 in gross expenditures. The infrastructure team, this organization chart looks a little different than what you saw before, and I just want to point out a couple of highlights. So you see up here at the top, there's infrastructure with Mr. McBroom and myself as really the chair and vice chair of that group. Scott Hergenrader is the individual from I3 Integration that's going to serve as our program director. And then project controls is Mr. Tinklenberg. And this group of four really is what makes up our executive committee. And so we're implementing some governance structures now so that simple decisions can be made at the project level. Then some decisions may need to be elevated to the larger infrastructure team, which will include all the people in the blue boxes, Maria DeAndrea, Carolyn Keith, Cheryl Karstens, as well as Angela Shelbourne, who's our communications consultant. But then there might be some issues related to the program budget or major changes to the schedule, and those are going to be elevated up to the executive committee for these kind of macro large decisions. And so we've implemented that kind of ad hoc the last several months, and now with CH2M Hill and I3 on board, we feel we're ready to take this to the next level with our decision making, which should help with the consistency of our decisions as well as allow the project managers to keep going quicker. So some specifics on the projects. I want to point out here that all of these budgets that I'm going to show you are the same ones that you saw in November and in February, but these are gross budgets. And what I mean by that is it includes management, design, construction, contingency. There's a whole host of things that you see listed there on the screen. So what you see here is the total cost to actually deliver the project. So in the case of a pool, for example, we have a $10 million budget. Well, we're not building a $10 million pool. That's what it's going to cost the public to deliver that project. And so as we get into these detailed budgets, we're going to outline exactly where all of those line items are. Frontera Neighborhood Park, the first project. And again, just to remind you, up in the corner there we have the bug logo that designates this as a 2K project. You'll see as I go through some of these projects quickly that some of them do not have the logo on it, so those are other projects that are part of the capital program that were not included in the 2K language. One of the additions you'll see here is the status. So we're trying to follow that gates and phases model, again following with a kind of a similar vernacular that we can all understand. So we're in phase 3 design right now. In fact, we had our first public meeting on Thursday night. It was pretty well attended. And the next one is going to be scheduled on May 21st. So this is moving along. You'll notice there we say open 2015/2016. We're still targeting 2015, but when we start looking at the schedule, we are getting concerned about wintertime planting, and not this year, but a year from now. So if it gets too late into the fall next year, that might slip it into 2016, but it's still our goal to get it done next year. Turnberry and Villages at Buffalo Run East, and these are both in phase 1 right now. I will tell you that we are currently evaluating an alternative where we can combine these two projects into one, as opposed to spreading them out year over year. It may take a little bit more money to do that, but we might save with respect to construction costs, which always go up. So something we're evaluating. Hopefully we'll have a better report on that in 90 days. The new recreation center, Second Creek. Again, I just want to point out one thing on here. We're in phase 2, again, pre-design and RFP. You see there's $22 million in infrastructure up there. Just a reminder, only $17 million of that was coming from the bond proceeds. The balance was going to come from other sources. So we have a variety of impact fees that we can use for infrastructure up there that we don't have to go to the bond proceeds specifically. And then a quick map for the benefit of the public where all these are located. Again, Frontera Park is down here off of 104th near Second Creek Elementary. Buffalo Run East, north of 112th off of Chambers. Turnberry over here north of 104th and east of Highway 2 within the subdivision. And then the Second Creek Community Park and Recreation Center site. I've got the Contour Heritage and Cultural Center on here as well. This will be the last time we'll include this on the quarterly update because of the lease agreements will be presented to you in a couple of weeks with a potential lease start date of June 1st. Outdoor leisure pool, very pleased to report we're in Phase 3 on this one with design. We also are having our first neighborhood meeting on May 20th, so that's right around the corner in a couple of weeks. The target date for the RFP for construction is summer, fall 2014. So we're really trying to get this ramped up with the idea of getting this open in the summer of 2015. Existing recreation center, again, is in Phase 1, basically project planning at this point. We also added the Second Creek restoration to the update, and we'll have another update for you in August. We added this because it is taking a lot of time out of the Parks and Rec department effort. This will be mostly grant-funded, emergency management type reimbursements that we'll be looking for. But the RFP for construction was awarded in April, and construction should be starting pretty imminently with the plan of getting that done by the end of the year.
Jim, you said Second Creek, that's Sand Creek.
Oh, excuse me, Sand Creek. Yes, sir. I had Second Creek on my mind. Thank you. And again, here's the map of the facilities in the southern part of the city. We have the existing recreation center over here, the outdoor pool site, which will be on the east end of Pioneer Park, and then, of course, the Contour Heritage and Cultural Center, just a kitty corner across Monaco. Tower Road, we are very close to having the RFP for design completed and released. Our target is to have that done by Friday for the Vendor Expo. So we're in Phase 2 right now and hopefully rapidly moving forward to Phase 3 later this year. Highway 2, again, not a lot of updates on this one. We're still looking at the schedule based on some new information from CDOT. But we are drafting an RFP for consultant services and still working on the IGA with CDOT for the long-term ownership and maintenance of that road once it is devolved and turned over to the city. 104th Avenue, construction notice to proceed was issued on April 7th, and so they're in Phase 5 now with construction. Still securing some minor pieces of right-of-way right now, but we wanted to get that project mobilized, and so that is underway right now with the target date of opening in the first quarter of 2016. 96th Avenue, for those that have been out there, this is the connection between Buckley and Tower. Currently, the private developer is building this road with a loan from the city. We're continuing to work with them on construction and frankly some budget issues that they're having out there. Their goal is still have that road open in August, but it really depends on the private sector developer and how quickly he needs access for the subdivision that he has planned there. That might be delayed into the fall a little bit, but we're still hoping it's going to be done this summer. Tower Road and Pena Boulevard, again, continuing discussions with Denver, the DIA, and FAA. We are still planning on drafting the RFP for design. The E470 board approved the funding agreement, which you also approved at your last meeting. And so we're continuing to work on design, and hopefully this will get going later this summer with design. RTD North Metro, nothing really new here other than to say construction of the line is essentially underway. They had a groundbreaking that many of you attended in March. We're still scoping the capital improvements that we're going to be doing out there. Again, 100% funded by a DRCOG grant. So quick map showing the locations, of course, Tower Road on the east and 96th Avenue and the Tower Pena ramp. Highway 2 going southwest to northeast through the city. 104th Avenue, again, from basically west of Highway 2 over to 85, and then the fast track station at 72nd. So home stretch here, we've got the Vendor Expo coming up on Friday. Yes, sir.
Real quick on the RTD, on the new Metro rail line. Me and Renee ran into a lady that lives over on Colorado Boulevard. And she's been very concerned that her property is going to be taken. And me and Renee looked at where she's located and said, "No, you're good." A couple weeks later, she came back to Rotary and said, "Look, this guy stopped by my house again and said they're going to take my land. They're not going to pay me anything for my house. They're just going to give me the value of the land." And I said, she said it was a cop. And I said, a cop? She said, yeah. And I said, was it a Commerce City cop? She said, no. She said, it was a sheriff. And I said, are you sure it was a sheriff? She said, well, I don't know. I thought it was a sheriff. So I contacted RTD, and just to make sure that what their process was for condemnation, especially of residential dwellings, and they assured me that they didn't have any intent on taking any residential properties dealing with this part of the line and with our station. So they're rather concerned who's talking to this lady, and now I am as well. But I wanted to give you all an update, and the police department, that we need to watch, because I don't know if there's someone out there trying to convince residents that live in that area that they're going to lose their land. You know, maybe I can buy it and I'm going to give you more than what they are, and I don't want people being subject or victim to somebody trying to do a land grab. So I just wanted to make you all aware and make the council aware, in case you hear of somebody that's concerned that their land's going to be taken concerning the RTD right-of-way for the rail, that we need to make sure we relay that to the city staff and the police department, and make sure that staff can back it up with RTD. But I did call the director and check into it, and it just sounds to me like something shady's going on. I'm looking forward to seeing the lady again and giving her an update from RTD. But if anybody, whether they're residents or council members, hear of any activity of somebody telling people they're going to lose their homes, that they need to make sure that the police department staff know and know who's this person asking or telling them they're going to lose their land, and back it up with RTD so that we know exactly what's going on. Because I was at a loss for a little while, did some research, and from talking to RTD, they don't have any intent on taking any residentially owned property with our project, and so that's made it more concerning to me. But she was contacted multiple times now by the same individual.
Mr. Mayor, if you could get us her contact information after the meeting, it might be good for us to make contact with her and make sure there's no criminal activity occurring in that neighborhood.
Right, and this person told her that he sat on the board, so he knew exactly what was happening, and that this land was going to be taken, and that she would only receive the value of what the land's worth, not what her home is worth. And so she's, of course, very upset and distraught. Me and Renee have been working with her to try to keep her calmed down. And again, with this additional research that I just completed, I haven't even mentioned it to the Mayor Pro Tem, but I wanted everybody to be aware that there are bad people in this world, and right now the city and RTD have no intent on taking any residential property concerning our station. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's valuable information. We need to know about that. Thank you. So the Vendor Expo, this is planned for Friday, May 9th in the council chambers. We talked about having it as a kickoff meeting and releasing a bunch of RFPs, and we were going to do that earlier in the year, but we thought this would be much more appropriate to have really an expo where people can come in and get an overview of the entire program. We're going to release the RFP for Tower Road on Friday. The Tower Paint is probably going to get delayed a little bit, but you see from the list there, we've got a whole set of RFPs that are going to be coming out this year. And so our plan is to try to unveil a schedule for everybody, so all these contractors that will be joining us on Friday will have an understanding of when they should look for these to be out to bid. It's also going to be a chance for people to meet all the project managers. We're going to have tables set up here from the various departments so people can understand how they conduct business with the city, how they can procure through our city, what business licenses are required. And we're also going to get people registered on a form so that we can actually get them into the system. So every time there's a new bid that's released on our website, they'll get a notification. And so it's really going to allow us to build our database, make sure we're touching as many people as possible. We've contacted several trade organizations and so forth to try to get the word out. I know social media has been very useful for us as well. So very excited about that coming up on Friday. It's really kind of a milestone for us. And we might end up doing this every 6 months or every year if it's very successful. Some upcoming public meetings. I know I ran through those relatively quickly, so this would be for your benefit as well as for the public. We've got 2 coming up on the outdoor pool. The first one is May 20th here in the council chambers. The second one will be at the Recreation Center on June 3rd. Frontier Neighborhood Park, I mentioned they already had 1 neighborhood meeting. Meeting 2 will be May 21st at Second Creek Elementary, and meeting 3, I think, is also going to be at Second Creek, and that'll be June 11th. And just to give you some context to how this will be scheduled or managed, if you will, the Frontier Neighborhood Park meetings are going to build on themselves. So the one we had last week where people were discussing general concepts, the next one is going to be more refined concepts that people can really start to chew on. And then the final meeting will really be more of a final design that will ultimately come back to the City Council also in June. The outdoor pool meetings are really 2 opportunities for people to provide input on the same topic. So we're going to be talking about themes, concepts, but really be the same meeting, just held twice, so people will be able to attend. So next 90 days, to wrap up here, we've got, I would say, 6 major tasks and a whole set of smaller tasks under each one of these. But really, it's to refine the project schedules, short-term and long-term. Development of a detailed program and project budgets. I mentioned the systems triage team. That'll conclude its work in a couple of weeks. We're looking at implementing a project management information system. And again, this is something that the CH2M Hill team brings to the table. Allow us to manage all of our schedules, allow for a dashboard view for various levels of the organization so we can see exactly where we're at. And the most important piece of that is it's going to identify critical path where if we have something that's behind, how does that cascade through the project, and does it really affect it long term? Development of a communications matrix. And what I'm talking about there is we have a whole set of internal communication we need to do amongst the city staff and external communication that needs to happen with stakeholders, residents, and so forth. And so we're developing that matrix to make sure that it's consistent and that we're not duplicating efforts when we're doing that. And then finally, we've got some major project items that are on the docket right now for us. Second Creek, as you know, it's in the floodplain. There's extensive drainage analysis that needs to go on there, so we're kicking that off now. The big component there is there's some wetland delineation we've got to look at. There might be some U.S.-type permits that we need to go through for waters of the United States. So that's really high on our radar, something we've got to identify pretty quickly here this spring and summer. Outdoor pool and Frontier Park construction budgets and schedules. Again, those are the 2 projects that are going to be coming out of the ground this year, so they're the most imminent for us right now to get those tightened up. And then, of course, I mentioned the formal bond issuance of $78 million, which is planned for the end of the month. So your next weekly update will be in the packet next Monday, and we'll have a quarterly update in August. And we're open for any questions.
I have one for you, Jim. When it comes to the signage that we talked about with the bug on it and stuff, when are we going to get some signage on these projects so that the residents can identify with them? I continually get questions, where's this at, where's that at? Haven't seen anything. I just was curious. The other thing is not just signage on our 2K stuff, but signage for some of the development that's going on 104th. A lot of people, unless they're tracking the Reunion website or Facebook, I get calls all the time. What's going on over there? What's going on over there? And it would help if we could get those businesses to put up a sign, Walgreens coming soon, whatever it may be, just so we can help better inform the residents of activity in the area.
Sean, tell me about the lady at Boys and Girls Club talking about Tower Road, where it goes down into Pena with that construction, how it's affecting Commerce City. Remember the lady that caught you?
Oh, I remember the lady. I think it just has to do with signage for all of the different projects so that people are aware of what's happening where. And, if you drive down 104th, you see a lot of dirt being moved. And so that they can see that, hey, the other one is Highway 2. Now I'm glad they got pipe laid out because everybody thought Highway 2 was being widened. And I think that just having some signage to show the residents that, hey, these are the projects we're working on, not just 2K, but Highway 2, the new commercial development that's going on 104th. With the lack of having a regular newspaper for our residents to be able to see what's going on, we need to try to use the venues we can to get some signage up so that we can get people aware.
Well, with respect to our projects, I can definitely have an update for you in
Sure.
next week's report and the timing of that. I
Perfect.
know Michelle and Maria have been working on
Right, and I know the other
that.
one, you have to work with the developers on their projects, that's not our project, but I'd still like to see them get some kind of signage up so that residents can see what's happening. It's pretty exciting times for development up there, and I think it only enhances our position to be creating these service-oriented type of developments for our residents.
Absolutely, and the private ownership signage is a different animal.
Right, you don't
for us.
control it, but we need to get the
we
word
definitely
out.
have analyzed some options there. We just need to articulate what those are.
Okay.
Some of them have a cost. If the city wants to put up signage, it could be a code update if we want to require developers to put up the signage. But those are things we're looking at. We'll definitely bring back an update for you on that.
The new 7-Eleven at 83rd and Tower just opened, and the owner was contacting me and said, hey, what do I do? I need to get some temporary signs up so that people know we're open. What can I and can't I do? I sent him down here to the planning department, told him that we had provisions for new signage for new openings and to help get that established, but that he needed to come down and make sure he had the proper information. But I think all of the contractors or developers that are developing commercial need to try to promote that as it's being constructed.
Absolutely.
So thank you. Any other questions for Jim at this time? Councilwoman Carson, you have a question or a comment? Mr. Benson?
Yeah, Jim, you said we'd collected $1.5 million in the first 2 months, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that money put into a separate account, or is it in the general fund and it's accounted for with a bookkeeping entry?
Well, it's definitely set aside for these projects. It's restricted revenue, but it is included in the city's annual audit.
It's included in what?
In the city's annual audit, but it's a separate fund.
Is it a separate bank account, or is it a bookkeeping entry?
It's my understanding they are separate accounts within the city's ledger of accounts, not separate bank accounts at the city, but it's certainly accounted for separately. And you might recall Mr. Hayes had a slide that indicated, on that same slide where he indicated we've brought in $1.5 million in the first 2 months. Our expenditures out of those funds has only been $20,500. Each quarter, we'll provide an update of what expenditures have occurred out of those funds also.
So you're saying it's a bookkeeping entry?
Yes.
Okay. That's all
Okay. Mr. Douglas?
Yeah, yes, thank you, Jim. Has there been any meetings related to Highway 2?
No, not yet.
Okay. And 96, will 96 intersection line up with the current intersection as it is right now, or does things have to be moved over, or are there going to be any adjustments?
You know, the 96th and Tower Road intersection will align.
Yeah.
The ultimate width is a 4-lane road. The only 2 lanes are being built right now. As you go to the west over Second Creek, just by way of topography, the bridge had to be taken a little bit off alignment, but it will align with Buckley and 96th Avenue.
Okay, and as well as Tower 96?
Yes.
Because it looks like it's going to be off, but of course they haven't gotten that far.
Yeah, and you're only seeing half of the road built right now. The other half will be built later.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. McEldowney?
Thanks very much for the update, Jim. I'm excited to see the methodology that's being outlined. I think this is going to be really, really helpful. And for folks that aren't familiar with the stages and gates, et cetera, it's a great tool to help, as you highlighted, make sure that all the right things are being accounted for and we don't find ourselves too far down the road without certain things checked off the list. So the other thing is obviously it creates a great foundation from which to provide updates for the community. And so as those tools take shape and obviously our additional resources are able to use that information to provide updates, I think it's going to take us to a whole new level in terms of how we are able to show and tell about our progress on these exciting projects. So I really appreciate it. It's neat to see all these pieces falling into line. And I know as we talked the other night, there's a lot that's really been happening. I think a lot more than you're even able to convey in these few slides. And I just want to make sure that we commend you guys for keeping the foot on the gas. But what I see, what I sense is that you're applying that adage of you got to go slow to go fast, and you're doing the right things up front to set that foundation so that we can go at the pace that we need to. So thank you very much. My sincere appreciation for where we stand, and again, seeing the effort the other night at Second Creek to host those discussions about the park ideas. I mean, it's beginning to get very real for everybody, and I think you guys have been living it neck deep for a long time, and now we're starting to see those pieces that our citizens can see, and they're going to start to become engaged in that process, and it's going to get very exciting. So thank you. And as we talked about at the Second Creek deal, we had a lot of citizens asking about the engagement of the school district. I talked to Terry after that meeting. I was at another meeting where I ran into Terry, and they would love to be invited to the second and third outreach meetings, literally any of those that have any sort of elbow rub with a school district property, so that they can help reinforce that they're on board, that they're plugged in, and just allay any concerns that citizens may have about us being in lockstep with the school district. He also mentioned that there was some historical planning that had occurred to his recollection about that site and some of the density or usage. So I don't know if that rings a bell, but it may be worthwhile to reach out to Terry and see if he can help, or Joy, and plug you in on that.
Okay.
So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Great. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you very
Great
much.
presentation. Okay, now we move into administrative council business. Is there any council members that have any administrative council business they'd like to bring before the council this evening? Seeing none, we'll move into reports. Mr. Gaylor.
I have nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did distribute via email this week's edition of the City Manager's Report. We had, looks like, just 2 City Council action items that we were providing a follow-up report to. One related to the road condition items that the mayor had brought to our attention, 3 separate ones. We have an update for those. One was on Peoria Street, southbound in the area of 107th Avenue. Peoria Street, just south of the I-76 bridge, and the third was some deteriorating conditions on Highway 2, so we have updates there for all 3 of those. Mr. Douglas had raised the concern about stop bars on 104th Avenue near the pedestrian crosswalks. Staff has reviewed it and agrees there is a problem there, and so the stop bars will be added to the pavement. And then we've provided in the report information on some planned closures to the recreation center for annual maintenance projects. We have that information there for you. And then we've included a look ahead to the City Council work schedule. So as always, we're happy to answer any questions about the report.
Great. I'll move into mine. We had area boards meeting hosted by South Adams. The Arbor Day celebration was up at Turnberry Elementary, and Mayor Brighton was there. Thanks to Commerce City Parks and Rec. Tony was there. Brighton Parks and Rec was there, and the student that had won the poster contest was there, and the tree was planted. All the kids came out. It was a pretty good event. And we had Rotary, and then I participated in a community health services roast, as did several other council members. Were there to help raise money for the community health services, which is Kids First Health now, I guess is what it's called, but it's the group that does the health care for District 14. Helps take care of immunizations, things of that nature for the children, that physicals, yeah, that kind of stuff. But I think they did really well at the fundraiser. And then I participated in the Tortillas for Tapiac, Clinica de Tapiac again. And so I went down and rolled a tortilla. Mine was pretty good. However, they had some other folks that were high profile that wanted to key in on. But again, good for that clinic and the fundraiser so that they could make some money to help make their nonprofit stretch those dollars out. Then we had the Historical Society lunch from time to time, and it was great because I got to see Bob Gaylor and the Teeter boys all recognized at that event, which was pretty neat to see all the time and effort Bob has put in at the city, and then the amount of hours put into the firefighting service by the 4 Teeter boys was pretty impressive. Was it 128 years worth of firefighting between you and your 3 brothers? Yes. That's pretty impressive for this community. Then we had I attended an event with the Canadian ambassador. It was a special event, and they talked about the pipeline and some different things that Canada and the U.S. have going on right now and where things are at, and the opinion of Canada on oil and gas, and so it was rather interesting. And then several of us attended the State of DIA, and we had the joint meeting with the 27J School District, and I think most of the council was there. Myself and Rick and Renee all went and walked the elementary kids to school at Kemp, which was pretty cool. I thought it would be a few kids, and it was like 200. But it was a fun time. They were all cheering and doing different cheers all the way to school, and it was a little brisk, and the dang wind was terrible, but it was fun spending the morning with the kids. We had Rotary again, and then we had the AdCog dinner, which Brighton hosted. Several of the council was there, and then Law Day. We went down. I think it was myself and Mr. Bullock and Mr. Teeter that attended the Law Day event down at the Dome at Adams County Fairgrounds. And then last but not least, many of us, it was myself and Mr. Bullock and Mr. Amador attended the Boys and Girls Club Gala. And I know next, is it Tuesday is the breakfast?
The 13th.
The 13th. I know they're going to be making an announcement. Should make everybody happy, especially Guillermo. So come to the event on Tuesday, Guillermo. The kids. Yep, that's right, the kids. We were there watching them and working with them Friday night.
Matter of fact, the girl that was here tonight was the junior winner of
Right.
the Boys and Girls Club.
Right. So that was a great night, a great venue, and a lot of good things coming out of that, which I'm not going to spoil it for everybody, but Tuesday, breakfast at the rec center for the Boys and Girls Club announcement. With that, I will hold off, and if anybody has anything they'd like to add to the report that I have just given, they are more than welcome to. Mr. McEldowney? Okay. Councilwoman Carson.
I just want to make a public reminder that there's elections tomorrow. Our South Adams Water District is having elections from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Stevenson Administration Building, 6595 East 70th Avenue. And South Adams Fire Department has elections tomorrow. And actually, they have 2 locations, so people who live up north, it'd be a little more convenient for them. At Fire Station 1 at 4711 East 69th Avenue, and Fire Station number 8 at 10326 Walden Street in the community room.
Great, thank you. Mr. Douglas.
Attended the pancake breakfast at the senior lobby at the rec center. It was a good attendance.
Good.
And, great opportunity to reconnect with some seniors.
Yep, absolutely. All right, anything else? Seeing no more business to come before the City Council of Commerce City this evening, we are adjourned.
About E470.
We don't have any RTD or no other meetings? No. Good.
Christmas or something?
Yeah. Who would I talk to?
I didn't want to interrupt Brian when he was making his talk, but the way it works with the city, we don't have separate accounts for sales tax.
All right.
General fund.
I know.
All in one.
I just wanted to clarify that.
These were all approved November 4th. Back.
I mean, it's all done on paper. We just add all the different.
Even though it's a restricted fund, it's restricted on paper, so.
Right. Hey, did you watch any baseball this weekend?
Yeah, I did. I watched the long game. I watched them yesterday.
Those got turned off while we were in there.
You mean the Rockies?
Those got turned off. Put on pause while we were in
About
there.
A&M and LSU.
Or edited. So, yeah.
So we got is one of the Rockies coaches named Gideon? It's his son.
He's not first or second. I mean, first or third base coach. Because I think I know.
Because his son in the bottom of the 8th inning hit a walk-off home run and won the game for A&M yesterday.
Thank you. There might be a pitching coach or one of those coaches that's not on the base.
They were saying that his father,
Who won? LSU or?
no, A&M won 2 out of 3. LSU was ranked number 5.
Or are they rated that high?
Oh yeah, they Virginia. You know who's number 2?
University of Louisiana.
Lafayette.